Cool.
Okay. My name's Graham from Try Coaching. This is Adrian Whiting, one of our trainers. Hey, let's kick off this interview. But tell me a bit about yourself, please.
Okay. What from the beginning when I was a child, or
You can go wherever you like with it. Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. Cool. Well, I currently live in Somerset, but for the first 30 years of my life, I was in Suffolk, near Ipswich. Probably hear a little bit of a twang in my accent, I expect. Went to school in a little village called Noddishall, which is Coldfair Green.
Yeah.
Then moved over to Leiston, went to the middle school and the high school.
Yep.
And then from then on, I then went to do a college course in building, which most of us youngsters did at that time in the late 80s.
Yep.
I chose bricklaying, got quite good at that. And then obviously we had the recession in late 1980s, and that put a pay to that. I then moved over to going into the car side of things. And I first of all went out and got myself a job as a forecourt attendant serving petrol, which then rapidly moved on to cleaning brand new cars that came in, to me then being able to go over to Ipswich and collect them and then bring them back. Then from then on, I then went on to wholesalers, delivering sort of goods to shops, which is mainly potatoes and sort of fresh fruit and veg and all that kind of stuff. And then we used to go collect it from the farms, which was great fun. Taking a 7.5 ton truck, which we were allowed to drive on those days because we just instantly got the license, so it was great. And then I moved on from there to being a coach driver.
Okay.
I first of all started at First Bus in Beccles, which was a private company to start with, called Waylands, and then we moved on from Waylands to First Bus, because basically First Bus bought them out. And I was there for a little while, and then I moved over to Soames Coaches in Ipswich, where I was there for quite a few years and drove all over Europe with coach in Holland and Belgium, France, Germany, those places.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Somerset, where I am now. Worked for a couple of coach firms here, like Baker's Dolphin and then Redwoods. Loved it at Redwoods. Great company, lovely people. Paul and Jackie, how you doing? But basically, it's just great fun. And then one day I came home because I used to do the Liverpool fans up to Anfield.
Okay.
I used to have so much fun with these. Easy on, Chelsea boy, easy on. But it's great fun, and the fans were so enthusiastic every time I went up. And but I came back one Christmas, and it was when the digital tachos were then about to kick in, and all the legislation was starting to change, and no longer going from paperwork to having this little disc that went into the coach and everything else. And I thought, no, I've had enough of this now. And I sat on the sofa with my then partner at the time, and basically I said to her, I ain't going back. And she said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'd then seen on the TV an advert to become a driving instructor, which was, I believe, Let's Drive at the time. Okay. Yeah, the infamous yellow and black minis, which then turned into the Instructor College, which we now know as Red. Yeah. Did my training, passed the part one, the theory. On the second go, I got 94 out of 100 on the questions, which is fine, but the hazard was too quick. Okay. So I had to redo it again, and I got 68 on the hazard and 97 on the questions. And then passed the part two driving test relatively easy. That was fine. Obviously, being in the driving fraternity, not a problem. Part three, I struggled with a little bit. I passed that on my third attempt, but once I got the hang of it and got the idea of it, I think nerves just got to me, really. Yeah. Like it does most PDIs, to be fair. When I hold my hand up, I was absolutely as nervous as a kid on the first go. I thought, well, I got it all back to front. I had the lovely Gabby Humphreys when she was an examiner. She looked me straight in the eye and she said, Aid, you can do this. You've just done it back to front. Just try to relax and give it another go. So I did. And then I had John O'Brien. And then that was like, oh, well, down to the third attempt, and decided to pull myself up a little bit and passed it quite nicely. And that was 13 years ago. I passed 13 years. Okay. April the 2nd, 2008. But
Okay.
I've been on a pink PDI badge since September 2007.
Okay, so you qualified as an ADI 13 years ago. What have you done in your ADI career? Because obviously, you know, having a coach license, you know, what's happened? You become an ADI. What did you do?
Well, I first teamed up with Sally's School of Motoring, lovely school, still operating in around Taunton. Know Sally very well, and Ian and the guys. But I then decided to sort of change my direction a little bit. And Simon, who's the founder of Green4go, said to me, "Hey, look, I want you to be with me. Come and join the school, make it the school." And obviously Craig Moore, who was with another school at the time, he decided to join along with us. So it was myself, Simon and Craig. And Green4go was born, although Simon had built Green4go up from 2005.
Yeah.
And this obviously in sort of 2007, 2008. It's probably around about 2010, actually, to be fair, when Simon basically spoke to me and said, "Hey, I want you to come along." So in the January of 2010, we partnered up, and that was Green4go. We just plodded along for a couple of years as we were. And then we had a couple of more instructors come along and said, "Look, we'd like to join you."
Yeah.
And we went, "Yeah, okay. We don't really know how to go about this because we've not done this before." So we went across to our bank, who was looking after us at the time. And the manageress there, she looked at us three and she said, "Well, if you're going to have people working for you, you've got to make yourselves directors of a firm." And we just looked at each other and went, "Yeah, right." And we went, and she went, "No, really, you're going to have to be directors of a firm." And we just looked at each other and went, "Oh." And that was it. And that's basically how it came about. And we went from there, and the school has grown and grown and grown.
So what have you grown to now? I don't know.
We're around about, I think we're either 20 or 19.
Okay.
Having a quick count up, I'm not really sure. Got quite a few PDIs in the pipeline being trained as we speak.
Yeah.
But also we've got other things that we're doing as well. We've got B+E, which is car and trailer.
Yeah.
Of instructor training. We're starting to get into the fleet side of things. But obviously with COVID-19, it's kind of put a halt on everything. So we've had to sort of sit back and wait for a little bit. But things are looking bright, hopefully for the second half of this year. But we've got quite a few things in the pipeline going.
Yeah, I think there's, you know, now we're back at work, there's little green shoots coming through, you know, well, because there was nothing, so anything is a green shoot.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
everything was around, and basically that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. So about yourself, like, what have you done to develop yourself along the way? I mean, you must have had great people skills when you were a coach driver, you know, being able to deal with all those people on the coach. That's probably stood you in good stead.
Yeah.
The eye.
Well, as you probably know, I'm quite a confident person. I'm not afraid to talk. As a lot of people know, if they know me well, I can chat the hind legs of a donkey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to stand up in front of a group of people, whether it be 20 people or 200, doesn't bother me. And I'll do that. I'll speak to whatever's need to. I very often will do it just ad lib. I don't really want to follow a sheet. So if I follow a sheet, I'll only sort of trip up myself, and then, you know, then by the time that's gone, you just look silly. So I'd rather do, you know, sort of like people just fire a question at me.
Yeah.
We've done quite a lot of things with schools in our area. Obviously with young drivers and that, trying to encourage them to understand their future knowledge when they come into wanting to learn to drive, and the dangers and the pitfalls of driving dangerously, or just not really necessarily taking the care and consideration seriously.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I think, to be fair to the younger generation, they do understand the dangers. They're just not fearful of it. They think they're invincible sometimes, which, let's face it, we were when we were young. We did.
No. Yeah.
You know, but getting young to understand now that in actual fact, just give yourself half a chance, you know, just look outside the car and see what's actually going on. And this kind of spurred me on more to want to do more. Obviously, I then contacted yourself and Sue and had a look at some various different courses that we did. I've done Train the Trainer. I can't remember, there's a couple more I've done. I've done obviously I've done the BTEC 4 and gone over it again. I'm still working on the coursework on that, as you know. But I've enjoyed it, and and as you know, I struggled with it because I was taught a format. You know, you have to teach it this way, and you have to teach it that way, and boom, that was it. But when you suddenly sort of look into it a bit more deeply, you suddenly realise that actually there's a lot missing.
Yes.
Actually, there's a hell of a lot missing. In actual fact, you've probably just done the first 2 chapters, and there's another 18 chapters left.
Yeah.
And so you kind of opened my mind, and I got frustrated quite a lot. And I do remember that. And you saw that frustration. You said, hey, don't get mad with yourself. Start to look at how to improve.
Yeah.
And he says, you're not the first ADI. You're not going to be the last. And when I sort of sat back and looked at it, and I thought, yeah, I've got to start to analyse myself a little bit and work out what it is I'm doing wrong. Not necessarily doing wrong, but getting the information over in a better way so that I'm talking to people, not at people.
Yeah.
So you've got to do it like this because blah, blah, blah. Whereas, how do you feel about this? What's your emotions? And that's taken me a long while. I mean, I won't lie to you, it has. It really has kind of, it's almost like Sue says, you've got to unlearn what you've learned.
Yeah.
And
also,
that makes it quite difficult.
You know, learning takes place in those challenging areas. If it's easy, you're not learning. And it's not hard either, but you've got to be stretched and come outside of your comfort zone. So, you know, that's something I admire in you. That's one of your strengths. You stuck at it and you're developing all the time. So I think...
Still got a long way to go. I mean, I still think I'm touching the surface, to be honest.
Right, you and me both, you know. You know, the more I learn, the less I know, to be honest, because I just discover more and more. So, well, what attracted you to Try Coaching Partnership in the first place, actually?
Well, I think it was you when something popped up on my Facebook with the ADI NJC link, and you were doing a course or something there. And I mean, I'd seen you on Facebook anyway, because obviously you pop up quite often. And I think we started talking to each other, and you invited me over to do a course, and which I then took up. I think it was Train the Trainer, actually. I think it was probably one of the first ones I did. I think that was Bristol. Was that Bristol?
It was Bristol. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. And that kind of probably kicked me a little bit to think, well, actually, you know, I need to now do something. I've found something here that I can enjoy, but also I found myself frustrated because I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that made me look into it a bit more and see other courses and see what you had. And I've been on quite a few now, as you well know. I've even got Simon and Craig on 1 or 2 courses as well, which is great. They've enjoyed it. They found it just as hard as me. It's that's what basically got me interested in it, really.
And I think you know that word hard, but you're still here, so you must be getting something out of it. You know, the old adage, no pain, no gain.
Well, that's very true on that. There's certainly a lot of pain in this.
Okay, where would you like to see yourself 5 years from now? If we fast forward it, where would you like to see yourself?
Well, I reckon if people asked this question about them 5 years ago, where would you like to be now? I bet they wouldn't say it's trying to fight COVID-19.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking to try and build off a lot more. There's other avenues that we want to go into, which I won't say now because obviously it may or may not happen.
Yeah.
But basically, we want to try and get the firm to be in other areas. We only ever put instructors on Green4go when we have a need. Now, this may sound weird because there are other schools out there that will pump it and pump it and pump it. But we don't feel like we want to do that because it will stretch us to the point where we can't control it.
Yeah. And
we want to obviously give back up to our instructors as much as we can. And if we're all over the place and everywhere and all of a sudden got so big that we don't know what to do, then the company will collapse. So we're looking to just gently sort of spread. So I'm hoping to maybe in, say, 5-6 years' time, we could hopefully double in size.
That'd be nice.
And maybe have other instructors or audit trainers working to train instructors for us as well. And I say going into other avenues and see how it goes, you know.
Okay. What are you looking for now in terms of you personally, your career development? Is there anything you're looking to do over the next 6 months to 2 years?
Yeah, well, as you well know, because I'm going to probably pop up and see either Kev Field or Terry Lefterry, or one or two others, Mick Knowles as well, and yourself and Sue and I want to obviously improve myself to be an A grade instructor. I did have a standards check, but obviously that got put by the by, and I don't reckon I'll see that until this time next year, at the earliest. Probably look at Easter next year. But then I'm looking to develop my skills as being an audit registered instructor. At the moment, obviously, you don't have to be audit, but the industry's moving that way. I do know what I'm doing as regards that, but again, it's a lot more detailed, and every time I have a PDI, something's different. I learn a lot off PDIs, as well as they learn off me. And the more that I can try and put that out, and I think one of the biggest things I find with that is the frustration with the PDIs when they go to test and they haven't quite ticked the boxes and they don't quite understand why. And when I sat in the back, I'm thinking, but I can see me, I was there. And it's like you almost automatically assume that you've got a right to pass at first go or second go, and you haven't. There's a lot of learning that comes in. There's a lot of detail that comes through. And if you do learn early enough and get it on and push hard enough, you'll reap the rewards. But obviously at the same time, if you don't, and you don't fully understand, ask the questions, And I find that, it doesn't matter whether you pass first, second or third, as long as you get over the line and you become a good instructor, and youngsters are learning the same skills for life on the road,
So how would you describe your training style? How would you describe that?
Me, I'm very much a seer and doer. I hate reading, I've got to be honest with you. It drives me up the wall.
So what would you describe your training style towards, if you were training me, what would your style be?
I do a lot of discussion one-to-one with PDIs. I try to get them to talk to me about how they're feeling, what they're trying to do, what they want to try and achieve from the particular subject. And it doesn't matter so much about the subject. What it is about how they can deliver it. What do they want to get out of it? What do they want their students to get out of it? Because otherwise, if you're just going to sort of like say, look, this is what I want you to do, well, you're defeating the object, because it's not the student's lesson, it's your lesson. And I think as well, for me, fighting from doing the old style preset tests to doing the new style, it is kind of, I find myself doing both. I know it's hard to say, but I do find myself, and I do sort of hold myself back, and I try and swap hats a little bit. I say, look, obviously this is the subject. Your student needs to understand this subject, but how are you going to put this over? It's just swapping hats the whole time for me.
Okay, cool. That's great. What made you want to become a trainer?
Because of the joy that I have when you take your student to test and they go out with the examiner and they come back. There's not any value of amount of money in the world that can actually put that joy in your heart when you're seeing someone jumping around in the car park because they've just passed. And the examiner walks past you and said, hey, that was a cracking drive. And I'm thinking, that's brilliant. And then you see the student say, a couple of weeks later in their new car or the car that they've got, and then you see them a couple of years later and they're still driving well. And you're thinking, do you know what? They're there because of me.
Yeah, nice.
They're still there. And it's like, there's no better feeling. It really isn't.
So you say that with a degree of passion. So what inspires you?
What inspires me?
Yeah.
Ironically, people that do well in the business. And I look at our training page, and I look at Lou Walsh, and I look at Jed Wilmot, and obviously a few others on the scene and that, and I'm thinking, I look up to these people because, and obviously Blaine as well, I mustn't forget Blaine because he'll get upset. But you've got to look and see people who are constantly in the business and doing well and thinking, that's where I want to be. I can see what they're doing. This is where I want to be. This, get that desire and buzz, and I always look at people in admiration and see how they've done it, because they've probably struggled just like me.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't look like it.
No. Well, because people only see an external image. They don't know how much hard work has gone into you know, achieving where you are at this moment in life. I mean, it's no one gives it to you, do they? You have to work.
No, they certainly don't. They don't give you anything.
No. So it's you know, it's a, you know, people only see, you know, if I talk tri-coaching partnership, they see the facade of tri-coaching partnership, you know, we're the #1 training organisation in the country. Well, it wasn't instant.
No.
It just happened. A lot of hard graft went into it. Tell me, what's your proudest achievement? And it could be anything in life.
I've trained quite a few people to be ADIs.
Yeah.
And I think the proudest moment is when there's a guy, well, he won't mind, Paul Falloon, trained him, he struggled with it, and he passed it. He often beat himself up. But when he turned around and phoned me up, and he said, "Aid, I've just had my first pass." And I'm thinking, wow, that's brilliant. And the same with Michelle. She trained with me and she passed. She had her first pass. And it's like, wow, these people have now moved on and they're doing the business. And it's just great, you know. And there's quite a few other PDIs as well. I won't mention ADIs as well. I won't mention it all. But, you know, it's nice when you get that feedback and they're now teaching people to be on the road. It's just great. It really is.
Brilliant. Has there been anyone in your life which has, you know, made a difference to you in a positive way?
I think it's a group of people, to be fair. There's not just any single person. Obviously, my mum and dad have been very, very supportive. My dad's very chilled out. I'm half the man he is. But also my grandfather, my grandparents, my grandfather, grandmother. Yeah. I've learned a lot off a lot of people.
Okay. Just, I don't know whether your signal might have dropped.
So sorry, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, I've learned a lot off a lot of people, and my grandparents. I've listened to them, and basically sort of like taken it on board. What I've learned through life, really. People like yourself, but a lot even as well from Simon and Craig. You know, I often say to them that I enjoy being in business with them. So there's a group of people really that I do look to, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Do you have any lifelong dreams, not just in business, but outside business? I mean, you know, I know you're never going to be a scratch golfer, mate. I don't want to break. You'll just break
get the single handicap again.
Yeah.
I keep coming up to this bloke who leaves his horse in the car park and comes out and just doesn't play for months and just knocks it round and think, how does he even do that?
Yeah.
First diving on. You might know him, Graham. Actually, you might know him, mate.
Yeah, I only had 2 birdies last night. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So seriously, what are your lifelong dreams? What would you want? You know, is there something out there?
I suppose to just get my audit and to be able to be just a better instructor, really, and just keep improving. Lots of other things that couldn't happen. You know, it's just how it is, and I think I just want to just keep improving and just give them to people what I feel I can give them. You know.
Okay, lovely. Give me 5 words that would describe your character.
Bolshy was one. Yeah, well, people know me, so I can't hide it, can I? I'm confident. I'm also quite shy from time to time, weirdly.
Yeah.
I'm very kind and open to people. People can just come to me and talk to me. 5. What's another one we could say?
Well, you've done kind and open. You've done 5. So, but you never know. You can think of one more. Just give it to me.
Yeah, I suppose compassionate, really.
Nice.
I've got a lot of time for people.
Okay. You know, outside work, what's your greatest achievement?
I suppose just I enjoy travel. Traveling to different countries that I never thought I would go to, I suppose. Seeing sites that I would never have seen.
What's your favourite country then?
I love Spain.
Yeah.
Spain. I like the Eastern European countries as well. Like Poland's a beautiful country. I've been to many places. So yeah, all sorts of Austria and Germany and all around there. Just beautiful, beautiful countries, you know. but yeah, Spain has got a special place in my heart. I do like. But if I had to go anywhere, live anywhere, yeah, I'd probably live there at some point.
Okay, nice. This is a big question coming up here. This is the number one question in all the questions that I've asked in every interview. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. You ready for this?
Go on, then.
How do you think I rate as an interviewer?
Well, I've actually thought about this, and as a Chelsea boy, I think you scrub up just all right, mate.
Okay, cheers. Right. We'll move on for that. Yeah, I know this is something. What kind of car do you drive?
What sort of car do I drive? Well, I've actually got 3 vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually getting a third one. I've got a T-Roc, VW T-Roc, which is my driving school car.
Yeah.
I've got an E-Class Mercedes, which I do for weddings, proms, that sort of thing, and my own private car. But I'm also going to get a pickup of some description to do B+E with, because my T-Roc is all right, but it's not quite strong enough to pull the trailer that we've got. So I've decided to get a pickup to do that with.
Okay. Now, the next question I'm going to ask you, because I sort of already know the answer, but I'll go with it anyway. And you can make up whatever answer you like. What's the last book you read?
You're going to laugh at this.
Go on. No, I'll
I don't read.
I know.
The last time I actually read a book was when I left school. It was 40 Days of Chaka J.
Okay.
You can remember that from the days of Grange Hill. Yeah. That's the last book I read.
Well, that's why I asked the question, though. Yeah. No, I know.
Not that I don't read. I just don't enjoy sitting there reading. My mind wanders.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch a film.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. So, what's the best movie or box set you've watched in the last year?
Cool. Well, I watch quite a lot. I mean, I've watched 24 on Sky One. A lot of things like that, and there's like a lot of military programs I watch. There's something Fight Back. I think I can't remember what they could call it now. But it's there's loads of things like that. Just things that grab my interest. Murder and mystery. I love that sort of stuff. Waking the Dead with Trevor Eve. Loved it. Okay. Absolutely loved it. So, obviously, no more now, but just going back a little bit. But yeah, just anything that gets my mind working, and I try and work out how it's going to end. That's what sort of triggers me, really.
Okay, I can go with that. So, if you won the lottery, yeah, and not just a tenner, but if you won the lottery, what would you do?
I would probably buy myself not a stupidly sized house, but I'd buy a decent sized house, pay off the car. I wouldn't necessarily buy anything too far, although I do like Aston Martins. I mean, who don't? But then I suppose if you don't, be something flash like that. I would probably buy somewhere nice in Spain where I could just go to for a couple of months, play golf and come back again and sort of flit around, that sort of thing, really. Maybe invest in the company Green4go a bit more.
Okay, cool. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, I do like travel.
Yeah.
I do like golfing, which probably comes together where I hit the ball. Yeah. Walking and travelling goes together because my ball never goes the same place twice. But yeah, I do enjoy travel a lot. I will just get on a plane and go. I'm not bothered if I've ever been there or not. I'll just jump on a plane and go. So obviously I can't do that at the moment, but until they start opening up the flights a bit more, yeah, I'll do that. I'm not afraid to do that.
Cool. What's your favourite memory?
Favourite memory? I think my childhood, really, with all my family, my uncles and my grandparents and great uncles and that, just playing cricket in the lane where my granddad used to live, and there must have been a good 20 or 30 of us all in the lane, and then my Uncle Jack or my great Uncle Jack got out by me. We had another uncle, and he was not having it because the ball caught in his hand, jumped out, went in the air, landed into someone else. And he said, well, 2 people caught it. He said, you can't be out with that. But the ball never touched the ground. And I just remember we all stood around laughing so much. It was just like, wow, it's incredible. But because a lot of them now passed away for old age or illness and such. But yeah, the fond memories of my childhood.
Lovely. I've got two more questions. They're both quite superficial. If you were going to be an animal, which one would you want to be?
I suppose in many respects, I'd probably want to be sort of like I quite like dogs.
Okay.
So I'd probably want to be a fairly sort of strong breed of dog.
Okay. Any particular one? Great Dane?
No, a smaller one, maybe like a pit bull or something like that,
Okay.
where they show a lot of compassion. People are scared of pit bulls. They're soft as out. Maybe even like a Rottie or something like that,
Yeah.
where you have an air of authority, but you also have not like a softer, kind side to you as well.
Love it. Okay, last question. If you could choose one superhero power, what would it be and why?
Be invisible.
Be invisible. Okay. Hey, is there anything you want to add to this interview?
No, I've got to be honest, I was quite nervous to start with, but I'm actually enjoying it now. It's quite fun.
Okay, good. So I'm going to come off of Facebook Live and stop the recording. So I'm going to say goodbye from me. Thank you, Adrian. And Adrian, you can say...
Thanks very much, Graham. It's been great. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cheers.